Okay. Good evening. So we'll start with the questions that we were doing yesterday. Um, we were at this 45th question that we were solving. So we'll solve this first, and maybe then we'll start with our geometry module. So first of all, in his coffee shop, Joe wants to make a special blend of Guatemalan and Ecuadorian coffees. If Guatemalan coffee costs $6 per pound and Ecuadorian coffee costs $8 per pound, and 30 pounds of blend is to cost $200. How many pounds of Guatemalan coffee does Joe need to use? So the first we'll use the formula for mixture, which is quantity of cheaper over quantity of dearer equals CP of dearer minus the mean price over mean price minus the CP of cheaper. Okay, so you'll get the ratio in which you'll have to blend the coffees. So assuming that the quantity of cheaper, the Guatemalan coffee here is X and the quantity of Ecuadorian coffee is Y, we can substitute these values. Guatemalan coffee costs $6 per pound, Ecuadorian coffee costs $8 per pound, and the mean or the blend, the cost price of the blend is, since it's 30 for it's 30 pounds are for $200, you can take 1 pound would be for 20 over $3. Okay, so you can substitute these values. So quantity of cheaper is X, quantity of dearer is Y, cost price of dearer is 8, mean price is 20 by 3, and the mean price minus the price of the cheaper. So solving this, we would get 24 minus 20 over 3 equal all over 20 minus 18 over 3. 3 and 3 gets cancelled. This becomes uh, 4 over 2 or 2 is to 1. So this is the ratio in which we'll have to mix, since the total blend has to be made for 30 pounds. So the parts will be total 3 parts because the ratio is 2 is to 1. So 2 over 3 would be the parts of Guatemalan coffee, and then times 30 pounds, which will give us 20 pounds altogether. Yes, Vishal, the answer is correct. So 20 pounds of Guatemalan coffee Joe would have to use. Next, Dwayne planted 70 acres with two types of field beans, navy beans. And anyone who has not understood this question, 45th question here? Okay. Dwayne planted 70 acres with two types of field beans, navy beans and pinto beans. Okay. These are the two types, navy beans and pinto beans. Each acre of navy beans yielded 27 bushels, and each acre of pinto beans yielded 36 bushels. If Dwayne grew twice as many bushels as of pinto beans as navy beans, how many acres? So first of all, let's assume that the number of acres that number of acres that Dwayne planted of navy beans was N, and for pinto beans, let's assume P. Okay, so these are the two values of number of acres that Dwayne planted the beans. Now it says that each acre of navy bean yielded 27 bushels. So total number of navy beans would be, total number of navy bushels, not beans. Navy bushels will be 27, since each acre is yielding 27 bushels, and and since there are n number of bushels, so total number of bushels for navy beans would be 27 times n. Same thing for pinto beans. The number of pinto beans bushels would be 36 times p. Okay. Now it says that Dwayne grew twice as many bushels of pinto beans. So this here was twice of the navy beans. Okay. So what we can do is we can 36 times p equals twice of 27 times n. So what we can do is we can take out the ratio in which they are related. So 2 times 1, 2 times 18, and then 9 times 2, and 9 times 3. So 2p equals to 3n, or p is to n, or p over n equals to 3 is to 2. So this is the ratio that we have gotten. So I mean, this is the ratio where the 70 acres would be divided basically. Okay, so since there are total 5 parts, and out of we have to calculate how many acres of pinto beans. So there are total 5 parts of 70 acres, and out of those 3 parts are for pinto beans. So 3 over 50 times 70 would give us the answers. 5 times 1, 5 times 14, and then 3 times 14 would be 42. So 42 pinto beans will have 42 acres of pinto beans would have been planted. Anyone who has not understood this question?
So can you explain the last step? So like after finding p by n is equal to 3 by 2.
P by n is equal to 3 by 2. So this is the ratio in which the number of acres is divided. Okay, it says here, since this was the total number of bushels and n and p was the number of acres, right, that we had taken. 27 times n is because that is like each acre yields 27 bushels, and we have taken the number of acres as n for navy beans, and number of acres for pinto beans is p. So since each acre is yielding 36 beans, so p excuse me, p acres would yield 36 times p pinto beans. Does that make sense?
Yes, I got it, sir.
Okay. So here what we have gotten is the ratio in which the acres were divided. Like three parts out of 5 parts were for pinto beans, and 2 parts out of 5 parts were for navy beans. And then we can just multiply it by 70 and take it out. Next question is, at a certain deli. This is a pretty easy question. At a certain deli, a bagel sandwich, a bag of chips, bagel sandwich, let's take it as S, bag of chips, let's take it as C, costs $4.40, and a drink and a bagel sandwich costs $5.60. If a bag of chips costs half as much as drink costs, so bag of chips is half as much of as a drink is costing, right? Bag of chips is C. So drink is twice the amount of bag of chips basically. Okay, so how much does the bagel sandwich cost? So what we can do is we can substitute yes, I think it is $320. Yes. What we can do is we can first take out the values of the chips and the drink, and then we can take out the value of sandwiches. If let's say we are substituting this value here, S plus 2C equals to $5.60, and sandwich plus 1 chip packet is equals to $4.40. Okay, so subtracting the first equation from the second, I mean the second equation from the first one would give us One packet of chips would cost us 80 cents. No, 60 and 60, $1.20. Okay, since one packet of chips is $1.20, we can subtract this from here basically, and this will give us $3.20. So that is the cost of one bagel sandwich. Next. A student took 5 papers in an examination where full marks were the same for each paper. His marks in these papers were in the proportion of 6:7:8:9:10. In all papers together, the candidate obtained 60% of total marks. Then the number of papers in which he got more than 50% marks is. Anyone who has solved this question? Yes, I think the answer is for no. Vishal, I think that is not the answer.
What is the answer, sir?
Option C, 4.
Sir, what I did is, since there is a ratio of 6:7:2 and so on 10, I took as one by total. Sorry, I added these numbers to get 42. 6 plus 7 plus and so on 10. The sum is 42. So the average of these marks should come 60%, right? So 42x by 5 is 60%.
42 by
42x by 5 is 50%, 60%.
Okay.
So x will become 50 by 7.
No, but like, why is average the 60% marks?
Because his percentage is 60.
No, it says that the candidate obtained 60% of total marks. So if let's say all of them were 100 mark each, so he scored 300.
Yeah, but his average score is 60. That's what I mean to say. Average score. That is his percentage is 60. So percentage.
Okay.
So x is 50 by 7.
50 by 7. Okay.
So to calculate each marks, you have to do like for x we have to substitute each of these numbers. So we'll get 50x by so his scores in each of these subjects will be 50 by 7 into 6, 50 by 7 into 7, and so on. So only 3 of these values will be greater than 50%. So the second case will be equal to 50%.
Okay.
So in 3 subjects he gets
But more than 50%. Okay. Yes. Right, then yes, it is more than 50%. Then it would be 8 here, right? Makes sense. Let's say 6x, 7x, or 2x out of 2, which is 5x, 50x basically, right? And which is equals to 3, x is equals to okay. In all papers together, the candidate scored 60% of total marks, and the number of papers which got more than 50%. Yes, then yes. 3 marks. Anyone who needs the explanation for this question, or did you all understand how Vishal explained this?
Can you explain?
Right. Okay, so we'll go as how Vishal explained the method, and also there is another way we can do. But I think, like, if let's say scoring 6, 7, 8, assuming it works on this distribution. Okay. So what we did was So since there are 5 papers, we took it as 6x, the ratio, the numbers, the marks being 6x, 7x, 8x, 9x, and 10x. Okay. So the total score that he scored was 42x. Now, this 42x was 60% of the total, basically. Okay. So 42x would be 60 over 100, or like 60% in general, but the average would also be 60%. Since the total of 5 papers is 60, what will happen is the average of these would also be 60%, or you can also take just 60 in general. Like if you
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, I think the total is 40x.
40x 16 and 16 32, yes, that is why yes, then yes, the answer would be 4, not 3. That is where I had a confusion. Yes, it would be 40x, correct. Thank you. So 40x is like since the total is 40x, and out of like since it is 5 papers, so on average the student is scoring 40x over 5 in every paper. We can like equally distribute the marks in all of these 5 papers, which would be equal to 60, since 60% of the total marks, like 60 marks or 60% is the average that is getting in every paper. So x would be 60 times 5 over 40. So this becomes 3, this becomes 2, and this becomes x becomes 15 by 2. Now in the first paper he scored 6x out of 40x, or 6 by 40 of x times. So where x is 15 by 2, so 6 by 40 times 15 by 2 would give us, this would go by 5 as 8 times, this would go by 3 times. Then we have 18 over 16, right? This would become, but wait a second, we're only getting the marks in general, right? 9 over 8. No. Average marks as x is equals to 3 by 2, 15 by 2, 7.5. So out of 40 total is getting, wait a second, no, we'll solve it the other way around. Okay, the marks of 5 papers are in this proportion. So what we'll do is we'll take this as 6x, 7x, 8x, 9x, and 10x respectively. So it becomes 40x in total. Now 40x, if let's say assuming that each paper is for not necessarily, if let's say assuming that each paper is for y marks, so total marks are 5y, like 5y, out of 5y the student has gotten 40x. So 40x over 5y is equals to 60% of the total paper, or 60% of y, right? 60% of 5y basically. So this becomes as 40x over 5y is equals to what do we say here? It will be 3 by 5 and times 5y. So this becomes as 8x equals to 3y times y. This here is the value, or x becomes 3y square. Oh wait, this is all the 2 variables wouldn't necessarily solve. Let's try another method. Wait a second. A student took 5 papers exams where the full marks were the same for each paper. His marks in these papers were in proportion 6x, 7x. Okay. In all the papers together, can scored 60% of total marks. Okay. Okay, let's assume instead of y, let's assume all the papers are for 100 marks each, and the student scored 6x, 7x, 8x, and so on. So 40x. And since each paper is for 100 marks, the total marks are 500. Okay, so 40x is equals to 300 because the total is equal to 60% of the papers. So the value of x becomes 300 over 40 or 15 over 2. Okay, now since 15 over 2 is the value of x, we can just substitute 6x over 40 equals to 6 over 40 times 15 over 2. So this would be 1, this would be 3, and then this would be 6 by 40. This would be 8, and this would be 3, then again 9 by 8. This would be the marks for 9 by 8th time percentage. No, this doesn't. There has been problem. I think 40x more divided by 5 is equals to 60%. 42 5 equals to 60. Okay, so x equals to 3 by 5 over 2 or 15 by 2. And if let's say you multiply 6 by 42 times 15 by 2, this would be 7. So 15 by 15. No, then also. Okay, we'll come to this question then later. I'm not able to explain. Yeah.
Kaushik, I would like to explain this.
Sure, go ahead.
So assume the total mark is 500 and 60% of total mark is 300.
Right,
6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 is 40.
right.
So 6 by 40 into 300 will give the first mark, that is 45.
6 by 40
Into 300,
into 300, yes.
45.
45, right.
7 by 40 into 300, the second mark, 52.5.
This would give us
7 by 40 into 300, 52.5.
right 52 point. Okay, yeah.
And
So, like, since this is 52.5, all of these would be greater than 50%. But also, like, I mean, sure, if we are taking as 100 marks each, the thing is, yeah, actually, yes, right, makes sense. Whether we assume that this is like total marks or not doesn't matter. It is at the end, like, even 10 by 40 over 300 would be 0 and 0. Then this goes by 5, this goes by 2. So 150 over 2. Yeah, right, makes sense. So this would be 45, this would be 50.2. 60% of the total. It says that Ashwin, 60% of the total marks. So we assume that each paper is for 100. If you're assuming each paper is for 100, then the total marks is 500 marks. Total marks out of which he assumed 60% of the total marks. Yeah. I'm sorry, I like just skipped this. I wasn't able to explain this how it came. Anyway, thank you, Subhash, for that. Okay. Anyone who has answered this question has gotten the answer for this question.
Sir, I answered by substituting values. Is there any direct way to solve it?
There is not. For this, we'll have to substitute. The thing is, since we have to maximize the value for this. So assuming that the maximum value for this is 4, like need
Not
to
4,
get
sir, 3.
sorry.
It is 3.
Yeah, the answer is 3. But like since we have to get the answer here as 4, what we can do is we can maximize x and we can minimize as much possible for the value of y. Okay.
Okay.
So if we do this, then if we like substitute this value here, and we substitute the value of trial and error is the only value for this question. I've tried any other way as well, that's not possible. Like you wouldn't get the answer. So we have to, like, to maximize the value of the mod here, either what we can do is we can choose the highest possible value for x and the lowest possible value for y, or you can choose the highest possible value for y and the lowest possible value for x. Either way. Okay, and since the maximum answer here is given 4, so we'll start with 4. Like the maximum value for x as 4 and the minimum value for y as 0. So you can only solve this by trial and error, and the answer would come as 3. Like if you take the value of x as 4 and the value of y as 1. So this would become 16. This would become as 2. Then this would become as 16 again, and this would wait a second.
It is 3 and 0.
3 and 0. Yes. Yeah, this would become 8 and this would become 1, and this would become as 9. No, 3. Yeah, square 9, and this would become as 0. So 8 plus 1 is 9, and this 9 plus 0 is also 9. So you can only try this method by trial and error. There's no other way for this. If the sum of first n positive integers is x, then which of the following is the sum of the first 2 n even positive integers? So first of all, like the sum of first n positive integers is n by 2 a plus 2a plus n minus 1 times d, right? But the thing is, yeah, the answer is D. Since we do not know the first term here, first n positive integers. So first, like a would be 1 here, and the difference would be 1 as well. So if you're talking about only, how do I put this? If you're only talking about the first positive integer starting from 1, then it would be n times n plus 1 over 2. This would be the sum of n positive integers. So if let's say you put the value of a as 1, this becomes 2 times 1 plus n minus 1, because d is 1. So this here would become 1. So this is the formula, like the sum of the sum of n positive integers, first n positive integers, is always n times n plus 1 over 2. Now here it is given that the sum of first n positive integers is x. So this value here is given as x, and it's asking then which of the following is the sum of the first 2 n even positive integers. Now if it is even positive integers, you can just do the same thing. You can like substitute the value of n over 2n over 2. Then here the value of a is 2 again, and n is 2n, and d is 2 again, because it is even number. So this and this gets cancelled. So n times 4 plus 4n minus 2, or n times 4n plus 2. Okay. So this is the sum of the first 2 n even positive integers. We can also write this as 2 times n times n 2n plus 1. Okay.
So what is the formula you applied for finding the 2n positive even integers?
Same, sum of AP, sum of arithmetic progression. The formula is the sum of n integers is n by 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 times d. So since n is 2n here and a is 2 here, we'll substitute this, and since common difference is 2 again, so we'll substitute those values and we'll come to this. Now, wait a second. What is this? Right. Instead of dividing it by 2, what we can do is, since it is 2n over 2 here, we can still keep it.
So you're doing it right, sir. You have to just split it.
No, just 1 minute, 1 minute. N times, or we can also put it this way, since it was n 2n times 2n plus 1, we can just multiply these values. This will give us 4n square plus 2n. So since n times n plus 1 over 2 was 2x, what we can do here, we can, if we take out, no, it was x, no, right, we can n times n plus 1 equals to x. So n times n plus 1. No. Positive integers x is done with the following is the sum of first two n even positive integers. We will put 2n, so over 2 times 4 plus 2n minus 1 times 2. This would give us 4 plus 4n minus 2, and this would be n here. Now this would give us 4n minus 2 basically, or this would give us 2 times of n, 2n minus 1. Now the sum of positive integers is n equals to x. So we can actually, this is plus plus. I think that is a mistake here. If it is 2n and 2n, we can actually substitute this value here. I don't know what is happening for some reason.
So what you did is correct. You have to just split the terms, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm
send 2 inside.
Sorry?
Send 2 inside so that we can get the n term outside the brackets, and then split the terms inside the brackets so that we get it in terms of n plus 1. So the extra terms we can multiply with the n outside the brackets and they'll remain as n square.
So for n plus 2 you're saying?
Yes.
Right. And we can split this as n plus 1, twice of n plus 2, and then plus, plus 2n.
Yes, so we'll get 4x plus n square, I guess. 2n square.
Sorry, 2n square plus
4x.
How come 4x?
X is n into n plus 1 by 2.
Yeah.
So we get it as, if you split the terms inside the bracket, we can write it as N
Okay. 2n plus 2n square. Right. So this
Yeah.
here would become n square plus n.
Sir, don't multiply, sir.
Hmm.
You can
No,
separate.
we can take out the 2 here as common, right? N square plus n. No, this becomes 2x.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
4x, not 2x. It is
Huh?
4x. It is
Yeah,
4x.
here in the bracket. So this. Wait a second. I mean, I got what I was missing.
It is
Right.
4x. Sir.
Yeah, it is 4x. It is going to be 4x. Just a second. So for the sum of terms of n terms, we got as n times n plus 1 over 2. And for the sum of even two and even numbers, we got as n times 4n plus 2. So here what we can do is, instead of, like, we can first of all take out 2 common and send it n. So 2n square plus n basically. And this was equal to x. So we can write this as n square plus n is equals to 2x. Wait a second.
Correct, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. So this was n times 4n plus 2. So we took out 2 here and we multiplied this. So 2n square plus n. So now we can split this particular term in 2 parts. This will give us 2 times n square plus n. Now this can be replaced by 2x here. So this becomes as 2 times n square plus 2x. And then we can write it as 2n square plus 4x. Again, thank you. I don't know what is happening, but I'm not able to focus. Anyway, thank you still. This here would yield into 2n square plus 4x, which would be, which one? E, option E. Next question is this. Anyone who has solved this?
Yes, sir.
Sir, is
Right.
it C?
Yeah, it is.
I am not sure. I would have to check. First of all, since here it is in roots, what we can do is we can square on both sides. This becomes 2x square minus x minus 9 equals to x square plus 1 plus 2x. So then we can take all of these values here. This becomes x square. This was 2x, right? So this becomes minus 3x and then minus 10 equals 0. So this becomes, the factors would be 5 and minus 2.
So
Yeah, these
sum
would
of factors is 3.
yeah, the sum of all the possible solutions would be 3, and quantity B is also 3. So both of the quantities are equal. C, yes. This here, number of distinct integer values of n.
Should we again
B?
substitute?
C, sorry,
Sir, B greater than A.
B is
Yes,
greater than A. I think this is some. Yeah, B is greater than A. So whenever you have 2 mods, like we had another question.
Sir, it's actually minus 5. Minus
Sorry?
5 and 6.
5
minus
solutions.
5 and
I'm not
No,
able to
sorry.
get.
Sorry, am I audible?
Yeah.
So I have a doubt on the 51st question.
This one,
Yeah. Shouldn't the factors be minus 5 and 2?
minus 5 and 2. So I think it came as x square minus 3x and minus 10, right?
Yeah.
Equals to 0. So the factors of the middle term would be minus 5x plus 2.
Yeah.
2x minus 10 equals 0.
Yes.
And then x common, x minus 5. And then plus 2 common, x minus 5.
So 5 and minus 2. Right?
Sorry?
So it's x is 5 and minus 2.
Yeah, x is 5 and minus 2. So x minus 5 equals to 0 or x plus 2 equals to 0. So when you'll send both of these integers to the right hand side, the signs would reverse, right?
Yeah.
So 5 and minus 2 would give us 3. We had another question, I think. Wait a second. Yeah. So in this question as well, since there were two mods, so one of the go-to methods for whenever two mods are involved is to take squares on both the sides. You can square the mods here, and then you can also find it out. Or the other way is also like obviously like solving it with positive and negative this thing. So first of all, two possible solutions, since this particular section is in mod. This would have two solutions here. So first would be mod n minus 3 plus 4, since if you're taking both of them as positives, so this would be less than 12, less than equal to 12, and then the other one would be mod n minus 3 plus 4 is greater than or equal to minus 12. So this here would come as mod n minus 3 would be less than or equal to 12, and this here would come as mod n minus 3 is greater than or equal to minus 16. Now again, these will give us two possible solutions, which would be n minus 3 is less than equal to 12 and n minus 3 is greater than or equal to minus 12. So this would give us as n is less than equal to 15, and this would give us as n is greater than or equal to minus 9. Right? Yes. There's again two possible solutions. Right, minus 9 and 50. Right, this again two possible solutions. This would give us as n minus 3 is greater than or equal to minus 16, and n minus 3 is less than equal to 16.
So in the first case, you made a mistake. Mod of n minus 3 is lesser than or equal to 8, not 12. Because if on the left hand side. So
Sorry,
it's lesser than
right, 4.
8.
Right, minus 4. 8 here, this would be again 8 here, this would come as 11. Right, thank you. And since this is also minus 8, this would come as 5, minus 5. So we have gotten as minus 5 is less than equal to n is less than equal to 11. This is one range, and this here would be for, okay, 12, 16. This would give us as n is greater than or equal to minus 13, and then n is less than equal to 19. The thing is, this here is a closed range. This, if let's say we put it as this way, 19, and so there is greater than minus 13. But again, if extinct values of integers. Oh, wait a second. This would not be possible. This particular case would not be possible in itself, because the value like outside of mod cannot be negative. This case in itself would not be possible, because if you're talking about mod, the answer cannot be negative 16. So this here would not apply. The only solution that would apply would be this. So if it is greater than equal to minus 5, and it is less than equal to 11. So it will be 5 and 11, which is 16 and 17. 17 possible solutions. Yes, 17 possible solutions for number of distinct integer values of n. So this here is 17 and this here is 19. So option B would be greater. Next, anyone who has not understood this particular question? Wants me to repeat it again? Okay, so this here, if this is again, you'll have to solve all the three options. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. Ashwin, would you like to explain?
So, sir, actually, I just applied the formula given above, and for all, I applied the formula as given above, and for the first case, I got. Just give me a second. First case, I got a plus b minus ab is equal to b plus a minus ba. And for second case also it's similar, and for third case it comes as a plus b plus c minus ab minus ca minus cb plus abc is equal to a plus b plus c minus bc minus ab minus ac plus abc. So it's equal.
Right. The thing is, it will come as a plus b plus c
Minus ab
minus bc minus ac
plus abc.
plus abc. Thank you. Yes. So this would be the same for both of them. So like, so once we get the solution for the first one, we can negate this one because only two cannot be possible, and then if we solve this one, then only one cannot be possible. Since these two hold true, what we can do is we can remove this as well. Then only these two options would remain, and then we can solve the third one. Or instead of solving these two first, what you can do is you can solve the third one first. The reason being, if third is true, then you will only be left with two options, which is these two. Okay, and if the third one is true, then after that you only have to solve for the second one. Instead of going from first, second, and third, if you solve the first option first, the third option first, you can directly like remove these three options right away. Okay, so once you have removed these three options, you do not even need to solve for first, you only need to solve for second. So if second is true, then this would be true automatically. The last question, anyone would like to explain?
Sir, is the answer -2?
-2 or -1, something or the other. I think it is negative, I suppose. I don't remember.
Okay.
Even I got -2.
Yeah, it is. So the thing is, I think the question is also not framed properly. Obviously, ages cannot be negative, but assuming that we're taking it as integer value, so it is going to be some or the other. Let's solve. Roberto has 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. So G1, G2, and B1. All were born on the same date in different years. The sum of the ages of the girls today is smaller than this. If you add the ages of the girls today, it is smaller. It is less than the age of the boy. Okay. But a year from now, the sum of the ages of the girls will be equal to the age of the boy. Now, a year from now, this child will grow 1 year older, as well as the second girl will also grow 1 year older, and the boy would obviously also grow 1 year older. So through this, what we can take out, the relation between G1 plus G2 equals to B minus 1. 3 years from today, the difference between the age of the boy and the combined ages of the girl will be what? So 3 years from now, B will be B plus 3, and the difference of the combined ages of the girls would be G1 plus G2 plus 6. So since G1 plus G2 is B minus 1, we can just put that there, and this will come as B minus 1 plus 6. So once we open the brackets, it will be B plus 3 minus B plus 1 and minus 6. So B and B gets cancelled. This would yield to minus 2. Okay, anyone who has not understood this one? Okay, then we'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll start with the geometry section. We will start with lines and angles and everything. So once we are done with that, also some of you asked about this about the word problems. So if you want, you can actually take a screen grab of this particular table. This actually, once you understand like what particular word means, which particular operation, that would give you, that would be one thing which would be helpful in solving the word problems. The other thing is to break down the word problems into like different sections. Like whenever you're solving the word problems, first thing is, first of all, talk about whatever like see whatever the question is asking. That is the first thing. Do not read anything else. First see whatever the question is asking. What is it asking to find the value of? Okay, then after you have understood, okay fine, this particular value is being asked, then see how the let's talk about this particular question. If let's say we're talking, then see how are things related to each other, what is dependent upon what. So here if you see, the larger of two numbers exceeds twice the smaller. So first of all, two numbers 1 and 2, let's suppose, and it says that the larger, let's suppose this one is larger, the first number is larger, this exceeds the smaller. Okay, so the larger number is dependent upon the smaller number. That is how you find a relation between any two terms or any two quantities given. And then here it is given that if A is the smaller number, so larger we have to find and smaller is given as A. Now larger is dependent upon A. Does anyone want to speak something? Okay. Now, the larger of the number is actually dependent upon the smaller of the number. It says that the larger of 2 exceeds twice the smaller. So twice of the smaller becomes 2a. And by how much? Like the larger is still large by 9. If you are able to determine the relations between the two or more quantities, you will be able to form the equations. So that, and I hope if you all have watched the videos from Magoo's portal, that will also help, obviously, because you're given how to form equations in that as well. However, the first one would be to identify the relations, like what word means what operation, and then by the given relation, like if you're able to find out which value is dependent on which one, you'll be able to form the equations regarding that. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break now. Then we'll start with a geometry section. I hope everyone has taken a screen grab. If you're not able to take a screen grab, you can actually also take a photograph of this particular slide. Okay, so we'll meet within 5 minutes and then we'll start with geometry section as well. Okay. Hi. I hope everyone is back. We'll start with geometry now. Right. So in your geometry section, you have, first of all, there will be lines and angles. Then there will be triangles. Then you have polygons, quadrilaterals. Then you also have circles. After that, there will be, I think, 3D figures. And at the last would be coordinate geometry. For today, we'll only do lines and angles because I don't think so that we'll be able to complete triangles today. So we'll try and complete lines and angles and then we'll see. Okay. So lines and angles is like one of a very smaller topic. So first of all, lines can be like three types of lines basically, are two subsets of lines are line segment and rays, and another one is line itself, obviously. So first thing about line is line has no breadth, no height, and it only has length. Only length. Now it has indefinite length because it keeps on extending in both directions. So extends in both directions. So apart from that, about line is that there is no clear length, so obviously indefinite length. Then comes line segment. Line segment, as the name suggests, it is a part of the line or it is a segment of a line. So when two distinct points are marked on a line, this gives us the line segment. Now line segment, again, no breadth, no height, only length is there. And it has a fixed length. Okay, the length of the line is fixed and it cannot extend in any of the directions. About ray, the thing is again same thing, no breadth, no height, only length. But the ray has no fixed length, like it has infinite length and it can only extend in one particular direction. Okay, so there is one fixed point and one non-fixed point. Now, whenever apart from that, different types of lines, these were the different categories and different types of lines. Let's say when two lines cut each other at a particular point and then they extend in different directions, these lines are known as intersecting lines. Another subset of intersecting lines is perpendicular lines. So it is not necessary that all intersecting lines will be perpendicular lines, but all perpendicular lines are intersecting. Okay, or they will at least touch each other at a particular point. So whenever the angles between two particular lines becomes 90 degrees, then those lines are known as perpendicular lines. Now, whenever two lines are intersecting each other, they form two pairs of angles and which are equal to each other. Okay, so if let's say these are the two lines, this angle would be equal to this angle and this angle would be equal to this particular angle. Now these would be vertically opposite angles. These are called vertically opposite angles. Now whenever this angle is equal to 90 degree, then subsequently all of the, since this would also be 90 degree and the angle sum property of a line is always 180 degrees, so this and as well as this also becomes 90 degree. The total sum of the angles around a point is always 360. So subsequently all becomes 90 degree as well, and these lines are known as perpendicular lines. Now, apart from that, then there is parallel lines. Whenever two lines are equidistant from each other and do not touch each other at any given point, those lines are known as parallel lines. And when two lines are overlapping each other, that means they are traveling on the same path, then these lines are known as coincident lines. So parallel lines obviously again as do not touch each other, and then coincident lines are overlapping each other. The slope of parallel lines would always be equal. The equation may differ, but the slope of the parallel lines will always be equal. The equation and the slope of the coincident lines will both be the same. Okay. The slope of a perpendicular line and let's say the slope of this line is m1 and this line is m2. The product of the slopes of two perpendicular lines, the product of the slopes of two perpendicular lines will always be equal to -1. We'll discuss the slope again when we'll be discussing coordinate geometry, but this is just for the sake of information right now. Now, whenever two rays or two line segments join each other at a particular point and they create a circular distance between them, then this particular figure is known as an angle. Now, this point at which that they are joining each other is known as a vertex, and these two rays becomes the arms of the angle. Okay, the name of the angle is given by the vertex. If let's say it is named as, if the arms are AB and BC, then the arms would be then the vertex would be B and the name of the angle would be angle ABC. Remember to always put the point, the vertex of the angle always in the middle. It can be also said as CBA, but never as CAB or BAC. Now angles again are of different categories. First one is acute angle. As I said earlier, that around a point the measure of all the angles, like collective angles, is 360 degrees. Okay, so that is the range of angles, the measuring of the angles. So from 0 degree to 360 degree. If the range of the angle lies between 0 degree, from 0 degree, greater than 0 degree and up till 90 degree, then it is an acute angle. If the angle is exactly 90 degree, then it is called a right angle. If the angle is greater than 90 degree and less than 180 degree, it is known as an obtuse angle. And if the angle is exactly 180 degree, it is known as a straight angle. If the angle extends over 180 degree, it is known as a reflex angle. So if angle is greater than 180 degree but less than 360, it is known as a reflex angle. And if it is exactly 360 degree, that means it has covered the whole circular path. This here is known as a complete angle. Now, there are different relations between angles as well. Okay, now if the sum of two angles is equal to 180 degree, if the sum of any two angles is equal to, let's say, this particular angle or this particular angle, if the sum of these two angles is equals to 180 degree, then they are called as supplementary angles. They are supplement to each other alone. They are not called as supplements. Okay, like if let's say this is 70 degree and this is 110 degree, so 70 degree is a supplementary angle to 100 degree, and 110 degree is the supplementary angle for 70 degree. Whenever two angles are sharing an arm in between them, then those two angles are known as adjacent angles. It may not be supplementary. It can be any two angles. If let's say this here is an angle and there are two angles in between, then these two angles are supplementary, adjacent angles, because they're sharing an arm. When two adjacent angles are supplementary to each other, that means if let's say this is 50 degree and this is 130 degree, the sum of these two angles is 180 degree. Now, if the sum of two angles is 180 degree, or if they are supplement to each other, they form a line, a straight line, and then they are called as a linear pair. Similarly, if let's say there are two angles which together form 90 degree, they are known as complementary angles. It is not necessary that they would be sharing a single arm between them. If let's say there are two angles, here it is 40 degree and then another angle which is 50 degree. These two angles are complementary to each other. If they are sharing an arm together, they will form a 90 degree in total and are known as complementary angles. Now, whenever you have two parallel lines and then there is a third line which is a non-parallel line and is intersecting those parallel lines, two or more parallel lines at the same time, then this particular line is known as the transversal. And whenever transversal is made, there are 8 angles formed. In total, there are 8 angles formed. Now, these 8 angles have a relation between them. Angle 1 and 3 and an angle 2 and 4. Angle 5 and 6, angle 5 and 7, and angle 6 and angle 8. All these 4 different pairs would be equal to each other because they're vertically opposite angles. Okay. Similarly, angle 1 will be equal to angle 5, angle 2 will be equal to angle 6, angle 4 will be equal to angle 8, angle 3 will be equal to angle 7. These are known as corresponding angles. Then angle 1 plus angle 2, angle 2 plus angle 3, angle 3 plus angle 4, and angle 1 plus angle 4 would be equal to 180 degree. All these 4 pairs are equal to 180 degree and they are also known as linear pairs. Similarly, 5 plus 6, 6 plus 7, 7 plus 8, and 8 plus 5. These will also be equal to 180 degree and again will be known as linear pairs. Apart from that, angle 4 will be equal to angle 6. These are known as interior alternate angles, and angle 3 will be equal to angle 5, again interior alternate angles. Same way, angle 1 will be equal to angle 7 and angle 2 will be equal to angle 8. These are exterior alternate angles. The sum of angle, like if there are 2 parallel lines and then there are 2 angles formed this way, or even if let's say it is in this format, these 2 angles will be, the sum of these 2 angles will be equal to 180 degree, and these 2 angles are known as co-interior angles. So angle 4 and angle 5, angle 3 and angle 6, these 2 together form 180 degree and these 2 together will be equal to 180 degree, and these are known as co-interior angles. Same way, angle 1 and angle 8, angle 2 and angle 7, angle 1 and 8, angle 2 and 7, these are co-exterior angles. These two pairs will also be equal to 180 degree. Anyone who has not understood until here? Okay, so this is the list of the angles. If you have not been able to write them down, you can write them down now. Okay, now we'll start with the questions here.
So can you go back just a second?
Sorry?
Can you go back to the last bit?
Right. Okay. We'll start with this question. You can send your answers in the chat box. Yeah, Shivram, would you like to help?
Yes, sir. So, like in the line M, we have like angle 2 is 125 degree. So
Right.
angle 1 is equal to 180 minus 125 degree.
Hmm.
So which
Right.
gives 55.
Hmm.
So angle 1 is equal to angle 5. So angle 5 is 55 degree.
Right. These are corresponding angles.
Corresponding angles. Yes.
Next one. If P and Q are two lines parallel to each other and E is equals to 50 degree, what is B plus O plus Z plus E? Vishal, would you like to help?
Sure, sir. Angle E is 50 degrees. So G is again 50 degrees, vertically opposite angles.
E is 50, so G is also 50. Yes.
Vertically opposite angles. Then we find angle AOC,
Hmm.
angle between A and C. That is 180 minus 50, that is 130 degrees.
This whole angle you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay,
130 degrees.
Yeah.
So angle O becomes 130 minus 90, that is 40 degrees.
Okay.
And angle B is 130 degrees.
Angle B is 130 degrees. Okay.
Yeah. So,
So B is 130, O is 40, G is 50, and E is 50 as well. So this comes as 270. Great. Also, another way to look at it is that, I mean, this is usually the process, and this is how we can solve. Also, another way is B and G, if you look at these two here, would be equal to, like, the sum of these would be equal to 180 degree. Why? Because these are co-exterior angles. And similarly, if you're looking at this angle and this angle, this also will be, the sum of these also would be equal to 180 degrees. So O and E basically 180 degrees. So sum of these two will be 360. But here it is given that this is 90, so we can subtract 90 degree from 360 degree, which would give us 270 degree. Next. Yes, Vishal, would you like to help?
so to simplify this problem, we can draw a parallel line which passes through the midpoint, and through interior alternate angles, we can get it as A plus B is 45.
Right. So if we take this as x1, this as x2, x1 and A would be equal, and x2 and B would be equal, because both of these are alternate pairs. So A plus B is equals to, we can write as x1 plus x2. And since x1 and x2 combined is equals to 45 degrees, so it will be also equal to 45 degrees. Next question. I think this is the last question for angles. Yeah. Yes, Vishal.
So wherever this angle 40 is there,
Right.
from vertically opposite angles, we'll get the interior angle as 40. The same case with 60. Then sum of co-interior angles is 180. So we get it as 120 and 140. Sum is 260.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the last part again?
Take co-interior angles, sir. Sum of co-interior angles is 180 degree.
180 degree. Yes.
So
Which one are you talking about?
60 and X, 40 and Y. They are pairs.
40 and Y and 60 and X. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So we'll get X as 120, Y as 140. So
Right.
sum is 260.
Right. Great. Anyone who wants to repeat the explanation for this? Okay. Also, like this is 40. This here would be 40 as well. This is 60. This here would be 60 as well. Again, same thing. X would come as 120. Y would come as 140. So the answer would be 260. That is it. So lines and angles, like it would have the least amount of, I mean not least, the least would be 3D figures, but still like it would have less questions on your GRE test, but that doesn't mean that there will be no questions altogether. Okay, so it is important that you remember this particular part of the this thing of the lines and angles part. This is very important. Sometimes you'll get questions figures like these only, this one, the third question or the fourth question, and this would actually be related into any other question altogether. So that is how questions would be asked. The next topic is triangles. I was hoping if you would have had more time, I would have started, because this is a very long topic, and I mean, if I started right now, I would have to explain all over it again, like tomorrow, the next term. So we'll cut short the class here. We'll only have it for 1.5 hours a day, and I'll compensate this half an hour in the next turn. This actually